Ladies and gents, when I hear a tactic that's called 4-3-3 dirty dominance, I'm expecting two things. The first of, I'm expecting a lot of yellow cards. Secondly, a lot of goals. Will this tactic provide either? Let's find out. Welcome back to the Football Manager blog channel. I am FM, your host for the evening. So yet again, tactics talk like usual. I am taking Man City, I am taking Leeds United, and I am taking Bournemouth, giving them a tactic, simming the entire season, and seeing how they come out. As you can see, league table-wise, I'll get into the tactic in a minute. It is called the 4-3-3 dirty dominance. So with that, you hope for big things. But as you can see, Man City absolutely cruising to the title. 9 points over second place Liverpool, only lost 2 to Bournemouth, funny enough, and Leicester, drawn 5, won 31 matches this season. Leeds United was expected 10th in the league, came in 6th to a Europa League competition spot. 20 wins, 4 drawn, 14 losses, 64 points. Overall, not too shabby for them. Now Bournemouth, 11th place, expected to be dead last in 20th. So not too shabby for them either. 13 wins, 13 draws, 12 losses, almost straight across the board. They just needed one more loss and you got the triumvirate. 49 goals for, 52 points. I mean, still well above the relegation zone. However, 49 goals, I guess with their squad, you take what you can get. And with this tactic, it has worked wonders for all three teams. Now, Man City only had 128 goals, which 128 goals is 128 freaking goals. It's a lot of goals. But I've seen a lot of people with all these dominant tactics getting 200, 300 goals per season. Now, granted, this is the Premier League, but still, I'm not seeing that kind of absolute domination in a goal tally for Man City in these tactic videos that I've been doing. Maybe one day we'll see it. But for now, overall, the tactic looks like it has worked. But with that, let's get into the tactic itself. Now, as you can see, it is a 4-3-3 DM custom gegenpress on it with an attacking mentality, going all the players in a row, sweeper keeper in defense. You got wing backs in support, both of them at the same. Central defenders on defend, obviously. Both. Actually, no, this one has ease off tackles. The right one does not. Deep line playmaker for a defensive midfielder, a box-to-box midfielder in support, Mazzala in attack, inside forward on support on the left side, inside forward, an attack on the right, and then an advanced forward striker centrally. So that's the whole setup. Let's take a look at in possession. You got fairly wide attacking width, pass into space, overlap on the left and right, play out of defense, standard passing directness, tempo is much higher all the way to the right, work ball in the box, low crosses, run at defense, and be more expressive. Going into transition, counter press, counter, goalkeeper possession, you don't care about him apparently, take short kicks, and that is it. Out of possession, high press line of engagement, higher defensive line, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, everyone seems to be doing these. Much more often, trigger press, get stuck in, stop crosses for cross engagement, and that's the tactic. That is your 4-3-3 dirty dominance. Now, let's get into each team and see how they did. Starting with the top of Man City, you can see they cruised all the way until the Champions League Group E stage of the group stage with Barcelona, where they away from home in the Camp Nou, 0-2. That was a tough one. Leicester, they dropped points, 1-4 in the Premier League. Continuing to cruise all the way down to Liverpool, away from home in the EFL Cup quarterfinal, losing 0-2. And then finally here, Champions League quarterfinal second leg, 1-4 against Real Madrid. And that does see them knocked out of the quarterfinal, or the Champions League right there. And then Bournemouth, the tail end of the season, actually last match of the season, 1-2 loss away from home before they win the FA Cup. We'll get to that in a minute. If we look against the competition, Leeds and Bournemouth, as you can see, Bournemouth 5-0, absolute smashing at home. Then you get to Leeds away from home, 8-1. Wow, 8-1 away from home against Leeds. insane. I mean, that, and then Brighton 8-1. Look at that at home. But then Bournemouth, for the FA Cup semi-final, 4-2 win. Bournemouth again, away from home, lost 1-2. Where did the second Leeds? Oh, there it is. 4-1 win at home. So overall, complete domination. If we go to Leeds second, so full on for the schedule, you can see there's a couple of pieces here from the 15th of October till really, I mean, all the way down to Stade Rennais in December, -1 EFL Cup third round against Coventry. That, I mean, they just slipped a big amount right there, and had a couple of pickups, but then again slipped again, and then it just kind of went every couple of matches from there on out. How did they do against the competition? We saw Man City, Bournemouth drawing 1-1 at home. Let's see, Bournemouth again, EFL Cup fourth round. They won on penalties at home. Man City, we saw 8-1 at home. I mean, if I'm a Leeds supporter, I'm like, dude, why is he still in charge? But then we get Man City again, 1-4 away from home. And then finally, 3-0 away from home to Bournemouth. So that's how I like to stack them up against each other and see how they all do, to kind of see, is it an actual domination for the top team, or is it kind of evenly spread? And how do tactics, the same tactics, different players, match up against each other? So Man City just crushing it, obviously. And then we've already done the side-by-side comparisons of these, but wow, the start of the season was not friendly to Bournemouth. You can see all the way down to October 1st, they had picked up 1 win against Swansea in the EFL Cup second round, then 2 wins in a row, followed by 4 draws. It was, I mean, they don't have long spouts of green, but they had enough to bring them up to 11th place, which is, I mean, for Bournemouth, definitely good enough. So you can see a bunch of different reds here and there. Nothing massive though. 0-3 to Southampton's not a great one. Anything big, unlike that 8-1 loss. 0-5 away from home to Man City. But overall, Leeds had the much more up and down type of schedule. Competition-wise, sticking with Bournemouth, knocked out of the semis by Manchester City in the FA Cup. In the Carabao Cup, knocked out of the fourth round by Leeds United. And if we go to Leeds, competitions, no competitions there. Emirates Cup, FA Cup, knocked out of the fourth round by Everton. Where did Everton finish? 16th. Knocked out in the semi-finals by Liverpool of the Carabao Cup. So not too bad. And then finally finishing up on Man City competitions. We saw they won the league, knocked out of the quarterfinals by Real Madrid. They won the FA Cup. They were knocked out in the quarters by Liverpool again, and they were winners of the FA Cup, or the FA Community Shield. So 3 trophies out of 5 is not too shabby a performance. I will say the Champions League is a big hurt for them because they just haven't won it, and they keep missing out on it. But a 3-trophy season is a big way to pad your trophy cabinet, even for Man City. So I would say overall this tactic has done very well for all 3 teams. Silverware galore. You got Europa League for Leeds. You got almost, basically a halfway finish, half league table finish for Bournemouth, just under that mark. I would say this is a pretty good tactic for these clubs. Pick up Bournemouth with a couple of new players. Maybe they could even get a little higher. Premier League wise, stats, team overview, you can see most goals at 128, most points per game, 258 for Man City, most shots at 950. That is the highest I've seen in a lot of these tactics talks that I've been doing. Fewest shots against, 279. I think I've seen a little lower. Most dribbles made, 885. You can see 128, like we said. Leeds at 74, though. Bournemouth not in this list, but third place, 74. So the attacking mentality really did lead some good here. So most points, Leeds in 6th. Most shots, Bournemouth at 3rd, and Leeds in 4th. So that's a little shocking. Most possession, none of the teams. Pass completion, most tackles won. You got Bournemouth and Leeds right there. Man City. So we've seen the domination in goals, but what about cards? As you can see, Leeds United had 6 red cards, Man City with 5, and Bournemouth with 2. That is not a happy stat right there for these teams. Yellow cards, Leeds United with 122 yellows, Bournemouth with 117, Man City with 116. So like I mentioned, goals galore, yellow cards galore. This is definitely obviously an attacking mentality, an attacking type of tactic. It is also a bitch slap your opponent type of tactic. So, it's a tough one if you have an aggressive team, you are going to get carded like crazy. As you can see, shots on target, 386 for Man City, 232 for Bournemouth, and 220 for Leeds. So right up front constantly, really, with this tactic. Now, I've seen other channels do sort of some videos of the actual gameplay itself. I'm going to show you just like 2 or 3 goals of how this tactic has worked for these teams and just kind of leave it off at that. So let's try it. Let's see how some of these teams handled this tactic and how they worked. So finishing out this video, I've not taken a look at the personal stats for the players. And as you can see, goals, Holland actually absolutely dominating with 42 goals. I've seen this upwards of, this is just the Premier League, but I've seen this upwards of like 50 and 60. Rodrigo at Leeds with 22, and then Dominic Solanke at tied for 5th with 17. So overall, the top 5 players, 3 of which are on the teams that we're managing. Most assists-wise, Jack Harrison from Leeds, USA, 17 assists. Bernardo Silva at Man City, 13. Kevin De Bruyne with 13. And then Phil Foden with 11. And Kyle Walker with 9. So Man City really spreading that out. No Bournemouth players whatsoever there. Shots-wise, Holland, Solanke there with 142 to Holland's 218. Rodrigo with 105. Luis Sinisterra, sorry for the butcher of that name, but 98 right there in 6th. Kevin De Bruyne at 96 as well, or 96 just below Sinisterra with Man City. So overall, again, attacking. Yellow cards, João Cancelo, 17 yellow cards for Man City. Adam Smith tied for 2nd with 15. Bournemouth get theirs at 11th with 12. Tyler Adams for 12. Rasmus Christensen at 11. So, and Jefferson Lerma with 11 as well. So definitely a yellow card happy tactic. Overall though, I will say, let's just end with the league table. I think this tactic has done fairly well for these teams. And obviously because I'm simming, you probably can get better results on your own. So that 128 goals for Man City could hopefully bump that up to a lot more. Then again, you do have several 8-1 or 8-0 wins under your belt with this sim. But overall, tactic I think has worked fantastic. I think you can build off of it and do your own self a fantastic job with it. But that is it for me, Sefian FM from the Football Manager blog channel. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and enjoy.